Hi guys, it's Jamie here, and I filmed this project over a few days, so sorry if the video seems a bit disjointed at times. I've just jumped back on camera to explain I've destroyed half the project because when I revisited it this morning I still didn't like it. I loved this side, I didn't like the other side, and the message on it was however you feel is valid. And if it's valid that I don't like this side, then I get rid of it. So this was the page underneath, which I'd already laid some pieces on as the base for the next piece. This has been, although it's packing tape, it's not that secure, so I've gessoed it on bottom and top. And then when it's dry, I'll probably just maybe black gesso down the edge to create like a border. But I do love this side, so keeping this side, doing a new piece this side, so we're going to have single page pieces. Hey, that's different. Anyway, let's go back to the bit that I filmed last night and then back again to the start of the whole project. I tried to answer the question, what kind of advice on life would you give to my younger self? There's a ton of it. You will find out which I went for in the end shortly. I did end up with a piece, one side of which I'm really happy with, this side, the other side of which I don't particularly like and I'm not happy with. I have edited out the very beginning because I ended up covering it up. I didn't intend to cover it up, but it's how the piece ended up going. So there's no point you watching me lay down a load of background that ends up getting covered up anyway. So if it kind of jumps a little bit, I'm sorry for that. But when I start videoing, I literally start at the beginning of the process and you never know where something's going to go. And now we're going to go back to the beginning of this with those little bits edited out. What kind of advice on life would I give my younger self? I think I could fill the whole of the rest of this book with that. Let's just try doing one page and one piece of very key advice. I've already had a little think about what would be the main thing. There are so many. Right, so the first things first, which I don't always do on camera, is to cover this base with, I've always used book page, but I thought I'd show you that you can use scraps as well. So you don't have to use book page. The reason we do this is A, it makes the page thicker and stronger. B, a white page is daunting. My friend, who was a good artist, said she used to cover her canvases actually in black first, like just a pure layer of black. The reason being that then she didn't feel so daunted. So the reason for adding anything to the base is basically to overcome that white page terror. I'm just going to take some strips of scrap paper or old text or book page and cover the pages that I'm going to use. Once the page is covered, then what we're going to do is throw down a layer of the Mod Podge on the top. And this is simply to protect the pages. This is not art paper. This is a normal notebook. So it would absorb any paint, inks, anything we use on here would just sink in and distort. I mean, this will go wrinkly anyway, but we don't mind wrinkles. Wrinkles adds character. That is now covered. Although it looks milky, when it dries, it does go clear. And then we'll come back for stage 2. While that dries, we can start to think about what the advice is going to be and the images that would make up that advice. I wanted the advice to be that you do not have to marry people because you feel sorry for them or because they are in love with you and you feel guilty that you're not in love with them. So I've had 2 marriages where they were very in love with me and I wasn't in love with them, and they were, in comparison to me, weaker. You should marry people you are genuinely in love with if they ask you to marry them. That's basically one of the many 101 life advice I would give my younger self. The other thing is, often the people who come over as the ones that really, really need you and are really in love with you are also the most manipulative, emotionally manipulative people. You can end up becoming this puppet to their needs because your empathy with them and their weaknesses is so strong that you put your own needs to one side to support them. The first thing I wanted to find was a background image for a collage piece. So I went through the magazines, I think I went through 4 in the end. Obviously I still love this, but I still don't think it's going to fit. One day I will find something for this. And I found old Angelina Jolie, who's been married God knows how many times, standing by the gates of her house, or a house they rented for the photo shoot. And I liked the image. I just liked the idea of the gates, because the advice to my younger self would be run. Don't do it, run. It doesn't matter what people think, run. It doesn't matter how many financial commitments you have with that person already, run. Don't do it. The gates kind of reminded me of being trapped or an escape, or her looking out at the escape. I had the see-through umbrella. I'm still tempted to use that. However you feel is valid. Here's a sign that has like the wedding of, but it says wedding ceremony, cocktails, that type of thing on the sign. I liked these. I don't know they can be used. That was potentially, instead of Angelina, like literally just cover her up with another person. This I fancied actually trying to amalgamate the 2 backgrounds. Somehow slotting this one into this one to create this dark, slightly foreboding scene. I'm not sure how that can be done, if it can be done. Everything is now super, super dry. I have, to get this going, put the 2 pictures together. So I cut this out and put them together. And now I want to see how I can get them to fit on this page and where would be good. So obviously if we go here, we're going to end up cutting Angelina off a bit, and also she's going to end up in the middle of the page, so she's going to have to go one side or the other. So the thing is, when we do, I might put a different person over her. Just wondering if she covers her up more or less. Not quite though. There might be, I think you can get away with that. With a bit of very careful positioning, what you can see of Angelina could end up being just like background lighting, whatever. You could even shade it in a bit. Obviously cut the dress off to fit. Got that plant, which is a little awkward. Might actually have to potentially cut the whole thing down. So I've marked that up roughly by doing that as to where we should cut that. What I've done off camera, which was super fiddly, so I didn't think you'd want me to watch me do it because it's taken quite a while, is I've patched together this picture so that I've added the steps to the column where the picture originally finished at the column. The steps were down here. I've patched this plant together with several leaves from different parts of the plant so that this can now go next to this and conjoin the scene, doing something like that, which is rather dramatic and rather yummy. Central points or features that will draw the eye into the picture. Obviously we've got female here, and then we had cut out some other images. So we've got a bouquet of flowers, but she's already holding flowers, so I don't think we need that one. Got this thing. Now that might be more interesting because obviously a ram's head is associated with the devil, and the story is about running away and not getting married. So I think that could be an interesting feature, and it also draws your eye down to her. So I think that one's going to go on. So I found this image, which I thought was kind of fun, and means of escape, a car. And I might actually put that on, well, match. And I think that does actually work if we have it right at the bottom around her. Right, we have the wedding sign, and maybe that should have been under, I don't know, the fire. What do we think? So the ceremony, luckily, is going that way, and the party is that way. Don't know if that makes any sense, putting the rose up there when it's bright red and everything else is black and white. I think Coca-Cola used to have a TV advert about freedom. And then over here, well, she already stands out because she's against all this dark colour. But I suppose could try to outline her a bit more. Black. I think black around the outside edges. I had a thought driving back from dropping my son off at work about this page, and can't remember what on earth that thought was now. Outline this bit. Might get some black dribbles going. Cooler. Definitely. Definitely more ominous, isn't it? Let's just put a bit on this ledge, ring that down, and the same with this ledge. Okay, let that dry for a minute. I don't know what to tell you guys, these projects just take a ridiculous amount of time. Some bubble wrap. So the treatments that I normally do under the page, because the whole page was covered with bits of magazine cobbled together, now have to go over the page. Right, we're gonna throw some bubble wrap down. And if I think it's too much, which I think it is on this bit, before it dries, we're gonna get some of the excess off, hopefully. And then I wanted to mix it up to a grey. I might have to get a bit more of that off. I may not need to mix to a grey actually, because as I'm pulling it up, it's turning grey, isn't it? Okay, that's fine. I want to do a bit of black. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that. And it is still damp from the other stuff, but let's just try. See if we can get her to stand out a little bit. Back to black. Makes me sound like Amy Winehouse. Now gone back to black. There was this over here. You can't really see anymore, so just give it a bit of an outline. And again, that building has got a bit lost now, the dark, ominous building. So I'm gonna bring that back in a bit. feeling about it. It's okay. It's not my favourite so far, but it's okay. I'm gonna leave it. I'm really happy with this side. I love it. I mean, yeah, I've had to paint over things and some things no longer look like the original, but I still love the effect. I love the mood and the atmosphere. This side, I'm not so keen on. It just didn't work in the end. The face has been lost. The gold adds a bit of liveliness to it, but the message is kind of between the two sides is a bit lost. Still very, very happy with that page. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this video or parts of this video, do give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. We will be doing another art piece soon. And leave a comment. And I will see you next time.